when you think about any business really, but especially real estate, at the end of the day, it comes down to a people business, right? So you're in a relationship based business, which is what you have to take care of it the most. So for me, it's always been a long-term minded type of game where I don't mind if I come out on the short end here because I just want to make sure that we have a good relationship.
On this episode, I speak with my student Jaime on how he took 2 arbitrage units in Miami to grow his co-hosting business to over 20 units and buy a hotel with investors. This is a great episode. I hope you enjoy it. Welcome back to another episode of STR Like the Best. I'm your host, Michael Chang. It's my great pleasure to welcome Jaime Cabal to the show today. Jaime, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Michael. It's a pleasure to be here and very happy to connect.
Yeah, it's been over a year since you joined the program, and you've had so much success in how you've been leverage how you've launched your Airbnb business. So I thought it'd be a really great opportunity for folks to hear just your entrepreneurial journey, your creativity, and how you've been able to find some really great opportunities. Utilizing the arbitrage to start. Why don't I give you a chance to introduce yourself to the audience? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sounds good. Well, I'm Jaime. I'm from Colombia. I'm 28 years old now, and right now I'm living in Madrid. I grew up a little bit of all over the place because of my parents. While I was young, we moved to South Korea. We moved to Vienna, Austria. Then I went to work in London, and then back home to Colombia. And ever since joining the podcast and due to some other experience, we started arbitraging units in Miami, and we connected back to Madrid, where I say connected back because my parents had lived here for a little bit of time, and that opened up a little bit of the opportunities that I'm excited to discuss today.
Amazing. I didn't realize you were such a world traveler. Sure, kind of helps along with. I feel like when you're young and you kind of have a lot of different experiences, especially internationally, it really kind of opens up your worldview. And I think in this business, that's actually extremely helpful. So why don't we start from the beginning? You joined the program in the summer of last year, and you were able to launch your business in Miami. So maybe talk a little bit about that. Your units are very, very nice right in the heart of Miami. Maybe talk about how you were able to secure those units and how they performed so far.
It's actually a pretty funny story because when I joined the program, I had always had interest in Airbnb because of what friends had done and family had done through like investing in properties, and very self-taught. Started with a business years ago, and I've always had a kind of a passion for real estate. And with that, I saw the course one day on Instagram and decided to join because it was something that I could see as a next step. So when we started with the course, and I say we because I did this with a couple of business partners. But when we decided to jump on this boat, started to look for different cities where we could apply for arbitrage units, and we were traveling in Miami during that week just based on pure coincidence, since we had been going regularly just because it's so close home and then it's a good way to connect to the US. And we kept calling and striking out on different cities. And I remember that way back, like maybe 2 years ago, from last summer, I had met an Airbnb host who I stayed at one of their place, and she told us that she was a realtor and whatnot. So I decided to ask her for a quick coffee meeting. We caught up. We told her what we were doing. She herself had done arbitrage and managed some units in Miami. And after a while, like discussing and reviewing units, we thought, well, it's been right under our nose. Why don't we start here in Miami? And got really lucky because the market is very competitive. That while we were there for that 2-week period, we got to see 2 units, we got to see like 10 units or so. But out of those 10 units, 2 kind of worked out on the underwriting process. We were able to leave one set up, and then we traveled back like a month or 2 after to set up the second unit. So it was very natural, kind of felt like a passage for a start. And then that was the way that we found them.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And look, I mean, 2 units to kind of get started in your business. How has that been to manage remotely? as you're kind of traveling, you're in Madrid right now, your units are still operating. How's that process been for you?
It's been a very interesting process. We were very lucky in that we connected with a company that could help us with the local or the physical presence for the cleaning and some of the maintenance work and so on and so forth. So this really helped out. It was kind of a leap of faith at first because we knew that we were setting up that unit and we were traveling. Basically, the moment we left, it was operational, so it was live, and it's been a challenge in some senses. Obviously, you want to be present for certain things
Yeah.
to be able to have a bit more control, but it's also been a blessing in that it has enabled us to do a lot more elsewhere. And yeah, it's definitely something that we are continuously looking for new units, just that the market hasn't been right for us when we found the units, or the numbers are too tight. And we do want to expand elsewhere from Miami, but let's say that Miami is somewhat close to Colombia at least. But when you dive deeper into the US and without having an initial setup period there, it's a little bit tougher to set up.
Yeah, no, understood. Understood. Well, I mean, good thing you have, kind of what you're building in Madrid, and I'd love to hit on that. Before we go there, on Miami, they're very nice units, right? They're right in the heart of Brickell. Maybe talk a little about that, like the kind of Class A type inventory that you're able to secure, and maybe just the guest type maybe like the guest type that that's your customer base.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because we're in Brickell, like you mentioned, and at the time when we started, Brickell had two, maybe a third building, depends on how you consider it, that allowed for Airbnbs. So you're in a building that is full of Airbnbs, which it's good because obviously that helps. Everybody knows what's going on there and so on and so forth. But also you get a lot of competition, and both of the buildings are very different in how they're built and the target that they're for and so on and so forth. Both like the pricing changes despite being like maybe a couple blocks away from each other.
Mm-hmm.
So in one of them we get a lot of we got like family travel. We got a lot of people who are stopping by Miami to take a cruise, or to go to different events, or people who just want to go and have the Miami kind of experience, water views, nice restaurants, so on and so forth. And then on the other building, we get more of the casual traveler. That building offers parking for guests, which is always nice, and also that enables to get a lot of local travelers who are
Interesting.
even from the same state, from Florida, and they'll come by with their vehicle and be able to park and so on and so forth.
I would say parking is like the magic, is like the secret weapon. When you can offer free integrated parking in your listings, I found that to be, it really helps your occupancy because it opens up another customer type that wants to book with you. So that's great to hear. And maybe just some numbers. You've been operating for about a year now there. What do numbers look like? Like what's versus your underwriting? Have you been to hit your targets?
So the first year, we were able to hit our target in one of the units. The other one, we fell short for around 5%, but we were still in the profit zone. So that
Okay.
was good. Miami, the rents are expensive. So when you're taking on a rent, the underwriting is crucial, because you're on the hook for a significant amount of money
Exactly.
each month. So at first it was a stress, and also because we took the units on this lower side of the season, which is when they were vacant. But then we managed to break even for the first like 3 months or so, which is the slow season. And then when the high
That's
season
great.
picked up, we were
Yeah.
able to already have the super host in place and already have the different metrics that would also help us capitalize on that moment. And then once it gets to slow season, it's just a matter of being able to ride the wave until the high season comes in again. So yeah, just to summarize, we've been able to stay afloat on the slow season and then really maximize our efforts on the high season periods.
Oh, well, congratulations on that. It's I think in the beginning, I actually don't mind starting in slow season. I mean, not maybe not right in the beginning. Usually, slow season's like 2 months, 2.5 months. If you could start right in the middle of that, and then you kind of because every single unit, the new ones always take some time to kind of onboard. So you make some of the smaller mistakes in the beginning, but your prices are lower, so the expectations aren't as big. and then you can just get those growing pains out of the way, and then you hit your high season, and you can make some good profit. So that's fantastic. Just from a cash flow perspective, did it cash flow $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month? Like just maybe just give the audience a sense so they kind of know, like, okay, what can these units in Miami generate from on a profit basis?
Yeah, I think from a profit basis and annualizing the income and then taking it by month, it would be around like the 1,500 to 2,000 per month per unit.
Mm-hmm.
So that was as expected. Obviously, though, when you're on the hook for a bigger chunk of money on rent, you'd want a little bit more. But I think that comes on certain months, and also like I mentioned, we started on a slow season, so we didn't have super host at the time. We also were like learning, as you said, making some mistakes along the way. So it's really helped now that we have those systems in place to hit better numbers on the slow season. So hopefully this year we're looking to make a little bit more per month profit on each of the units.
Yeah, I mean, like your super host, I saw your listing. It's guest favorite, a lot of 5-star reviews. So that's something that yeah, definitely will help you as you enter your slow period. So let's talk about how you've been able to take that business and now, start something, use that to start your business in Madrid. Maybe you could just talk a little about how what your business in Madrid is now and how you're able to kind of connect the Miami business to the Madrid business.
Yeah, sounds good. So when we set up the second unit in Miami, at around that time, we had a trip planned to Madrid for a couple of months because we're also my partners and I Spanish nationals, so we were able to spend more time here and seeing the potential that Spain as a country and Madrid as a city has for tourism. We wanted to replicate the arbitrage model when we came here, but after a week or two, we realized that regulations wise, it wasn't going to work just because there's a very limited amount of units in Madrid that can legally perform the tasks. And obviously those that cannot perform the task legally, well, you will never get a contract that would allow you to do short-term rentals or sublease or so on and so forth. So when we faced that situation, we decided to pivot to a co-hosting model here in Madrid, or a property management model here in Madrid. And for that matter, the 2 units in Miami, despite sounding like few units compared to maybe what other property management companies offered here, were pivotal because we were able to show that we had experience or somewhat of an experience hosting properties. Miami sounds a bit sexy for the property owners here as well. And a lot of investment or property owners who invest in this type of properties are from South America. So it was good to connect on that end because, at least from the perspective of the owners that we work with, they often look to invest either in Miami or in Madrid. So it was really good to build this connection and these ties. And that enabled us to grow. Right now we're hosting over 20 units here in Madrid as property managers, and we're continuing to grow. And then also, because of the regulation aspect, we launched the midterm rental hosting here, and a brand new brand that would encompass the Miami listings, the Madrid listings, and now we're also launching property management in Colombia, from where we're originally from.
Oh wow, okay. What cities in Colombia?
Yeah, we're targeting Cali, which is the city where I was born. Also Cartagena, which is an amazing city. Anybody who wants to travel to Colombia, it's definitely a must. You have the old city. You also have the beach. You have some islands around. It's a very nice blend, and obviously it drives a lot of tourism. So there's a good opportunity. And we're also targeting Medellin, which has been growing quite significantly. I think it's helped that it's had some, like famous artists coming out from there. So it's getting a bit of more of international track record. We saw actually a lot of digital nomads travel and moving back and forth from Medellin. And that's also helped the tourism side of things grow. So those are the three cities that we're tackling
Oh,
to
very.
property managing in Colombia.
Medellin is beautiful. It's just like it's not that versus Cartagena. It's right on the beach. It's super hot up there in the mountain. It's like that's just a beautiful. It's I've seen the videos. It's a beautiful city. So yeah, you get to be in some beautiful locations.
Yeah, that's always a benefit, and I think it comes with the business, right? Like people want to travel where
Travel,
it's
yeah.
beautiful, so you get to be on those places yourself.
Let's talk about the 20 plus units in Madrid that you've been able to build for the property management business. Your first client there, were you just calling, or was it through a personal connection? How were you able to launch that business there and grow it, so quickly to over 20 units? So
So the first client was through a personal connection. It was actually through a family friend. He had been hosting some units here himself from
interesting.
over 10 years ago. And he was kind of getting out of the business or transitioning into a different segment of the business of more investing himself. So we were able to kind of strike a deal with him, involve him in like give him a commission on the split that we would make for getting that unit, but we knew
Mm-hmm.
that that first unit was pivotal to build what we had already built in Miami, right? Which was a cleaning team that we could trust, finding out the maintenance. And actually here we realized that the industry standard is for the property manager to provide not only the amenities, which would be expected, but also bed sheets, towels, and so on and so forth. So it was important for us to kind of set up the whole system and show proof of concept. And then
Mm-hmm.
after that, started doing a bit of marketing, a lot of word of mouth. And it was a very slow start at first. Then we jumped to like around 10 units. And then, yeah, it's been picking up in the last 3 to 4 months. So
Fantastic.
that's when we doubled in size. And now we have a nice pipeline of deals coming in.
Yeah, I think that's. I'm glad you highlighted that point. I think for folks that are listening, in the beginning, it's always hard in the beginning, and you get that first unit, and then you get the second unit, and then you get the fourth unit, and you're like, oh, this is going to take forever. How do I ever get to scale, however you want to define it? But it really does. Like once you get to like 4, 8, 10, and then once you hit that escape velocity, then all the deals start coming because all that work that you put in before, the proof of concept, you're doing a good job for your first clients. They tell their friends, and then it all just kind of compounds on each other. So that's great to hear how you've been able to do this in such a short amount of time. But it doesn't all happen in a day, right? You gotta start somewhere, and you just continue to build.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think for us, it helped that this was so we set up the business very organically. Like I mentioned, we tried to do arbitrage, didn't work. So we did property management without really having a brand behind or a company behind a property management service that you offer, because it's different when the biggest difference for me, and I think I actually heard it from you in the course or through one of our sessions, is that when you do arbitrage, you have one client, which is the guests. But when you do property management, you have two different clients. And understanding that has really helped us connect with property owners who sometimes felt neglected and really build on that relationship management.
Yeah,
Obviously, without leaving the guests on the side, because they're the backbone of the business. But being able to have the property owners, their trust has been really helpful.
that's fantastic. And then you've been able to take this and now do more on the investing side, right? So maybe let's talk more about that, especially given the regulations in the Madrid market. Maybe talk about how you've been able to look at leveraging your co-hosting business into actually investing in the Madrid real estate market.
Yeah. So before jumping in onto this road of the entrepreneurial side of things, my partner Sarah and I, we were working at a real estate investment fund, and with that, we took a lot of experience on structuring investment deals, so on and so forth. So when we faced the situation of Madrid, where you have a lot of properties that don't meet the regulation, you have regulation changes that are slowly but certainly getting out those units that are operating illegally. You find a very niche spot of, if I'm able to find units with a license, not only are they performing well right now, but they're going to perform even better once the competition is taken out by the regulation.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is finding those units. So we realized it was easier to do projects where we would buy small office spaces, change the zoning to tourism, and do the whole project ourselves of buying, remodeling, changing the zoning, turning it into a licensed property, and then flipping it. So what we did is we started working with some of the property owners that already we were managing their units for, and offering them this investment opportunities of doing the whole project for themselves. And that's how we've also been able to build our own pipeline. We're scheduled to have our first 3 units delivered in the month of December or late November. So we're excited to have those in the portfolio. And now,
Nice.
because the regulation changed again, we're focusing on finding buildings that we can turn into through this method of different investors and structuring the project and so on and so forth, that we can sell the units and then keep the management of the units, building our own pipeline of legally performing units, I guess.
Yeah. So wait, you're using your co-hosting clients are are they your capital partners, or are they the ones that own the building and then you are buying the building from them, buying the building from them and doing the remodel and the flip?
So we'll structure the deal, and what that means is we'll find the building, we'll find the architects, we'll take care of all the contractors and so on and so forth, and then we go out and source investment from folks that we've been working with or that want to invest in Madrid. Because as I was mentioning, people from South America, they often look into Miami or Madrid to invest. So targeting those markets, we've been able to catch a bit of investment to bring here. And then at the end of the day, it's their building. But since we structure the whole project, we get to participate on a certain scale on the profits from the deal. And obviously, it's the best way for us to earn their trust through the whole process and catch the units at the end, which is what we see as valuable.
Yeah, no, amazing. No, I mean, look, you're the ones that are going to know the unit the best, right? You're going to be managing those. I mean, it's a fair amount of work, right? You got to identify the building, you got to do the zoning stuff, you got to actually, redo the physical layout, and then presume get it furnished up and running. How long does something like that take? A project like that just take?
Yeah, it's around like a year to 15 months of work from the moment, more like 15 months from the moment that we start looking for a property. But from the moment that they buy the property and we do the whole work and the remodel and the furnishing and the listings and so on and so forth, at around like 15 months.
15 months
or a year. Sorry.
Well, I'm sure you optimize that as you get more. And you were telling me before, I was looking at our prior messages. You have a 20 unit deal that you're looking at as well.
Yeah, so this was also kind of like by accident, because when we started, we could do regulation to do small changes. So we started with 3-unit projects, 4-unit projects, but now you can only really get a license if you do a whole building. So now we're looking at larger deals and coming up with like 20, 30 units. So it's very interesting for us to grow that way. It's a bit of a challenge, more risk involved, but we've also been able to build a team that we've worked with, we trust us, and that really helps. And after you do, once you get the proof of concept and a couple of deals gone right, it helps build that backbone and that stamina for the business to go the long way.
A lot of what you said is, a lot of chance and luck. And it all seems to start from the relationships that you've been able to build with the realtor that or the Airbnb host that you stayed in when you were in Miami before, and then reconnecting with her, and then being able to launch that business, and then just a lot of connections and relationships, and then this quote unquote luck starts happening, right? The serendipity of you wanting to launch your business, you already have the relationships in place. Maybe talk a little about that. Like, how has that been such a force of being able to help you launch your business and grow your business?
Yeah, that's been the key to everything, right? I think when you think about any business really, but especially real estate, at the end of the day, it comes down to a people business, right? Like someone's always buying and someone's always selling, or someone's renting or managing, and so on and so forth. So you're in a relationship-based business, which is what you have to covet the most and really take care of it the most. So for me, it's always been a long-term minded type of game where I don't mind if I come out short on the short end here, because I just want to make sure that we have a good relationship on the long term. And that's that has been pivotal to the whole game because, as you mentioned, it was a connection that first led us to the first units, and then a first connection that would lead us to the first units here in Madrid. Then we built a really good team for the project side of things, which helped us streamline the process. And then you have to connect and then earn the trust of people who are essentially putting the money to invest in a project that you're pitching to them and
Yeah.
trusting you to do this miles away or from another continent, different time zone. So yeah, it all comes down to relationships for us.
Yeah, and that is, I wish, people understood this a bit more, especially, if you're younger, or and I think actually more when you are working in a job and, all you've done is kind of work in a job. It's a very zero sum, player versus player mindset that a lot of people have, because it's like, if I win, someone else has to lose. And I think when you're running your own business, when you're investing, it's okay to leave a little bit on the table for the next person, your quote unquote opponent, or the person that's sitting across the table from you, right? You want to both eat, right? You want to both walk away happy that you had this transaction together, because that allows you to compound to the next one, right? And I think relationship building is actually one of the most difficult things in business, because people have that short-term mindset. But when you meet someone with a longer-term mindset, it's like, oh, wow, okay, like, you get it too, right? And okay, well, let's maybe this deal, I make a little bit less, but we both walk away. We had a good experience, and there's other deals and bigger deals. And I always like to say, I always tell people, like, there's no sense in dividing zero, because people get so hung up in something that hasn't happened yet, or they want to negotiate the perfect deal, but they actually never done something with the other person. So you're just arguing over nothing, right? It's actually better just to, like, okay, let's do this right now and see what happens, 50-50, whatever it is, right? Let's just get this over the line. We have something that we've done together that we can point to, and then use that to drive off to the next thing. And that for us has been a huge help in building the business, and even students within the STR Like the Best program, folks that have partnered up together on projects, one small deal in the beginning, and then continue to grow that together. And now, some of them have, 10, 20 unit portfolios, and it's just great to see that. And I'm just really glad that you highlighted that, because you're so far away from your LPs and the project, I'm guessing, since you're traveling so much. So that trust that you have with your partner, with the teams on the ground, with your investment partners, that is, to use your words, like the backbone of the backbone of that business. I hope I'm characterizing it correctly.
Yeah, 100%. And I think you bring up a good point in mentioning the STR community, because I think something that I would highlight from this industry, at least, or from the values that I got from the course, and that's really what I felt like for the most part of the experience, is that you want people to do well who are doing the same thing as you, because at the end of the day, that will help the whole industry, right? That will help travelers trust more Airbnbs and think, oh, I'll go to an Airbnb instead of a hotel because I've had a good experience in Philly or in Miami or in Madrid or wherever. So it helps build up this category, and it gets the momentum going, and so on and so forth. And so I think something that I would highlight from our community and encourage people to join is because it's amazing to see how people really want to help each other and be there for each other. And I wish I would participate a little more. But it's been a bit rough with the time difference and so on and so forth.
It's good feedback to have. I think we'll try to do some earlier sessions as well. I recognize starting at 8:00 Eastern time is after midnight for you and for a lot of folks that are in Europe. So we'll try to do some more midday ones here that hopefully allow you and others to be able to join. So that's good feedback, and it's always good. And then that's what I like doing. I like speaking with members of the community, right? Just like, hey, I want to hear what you're doing, right? I want to hear the wins, the losses, the struggles, right? And let's all kind of work together to try to get your business, try to optimize whatever's wrong in your business, because there's no perfect, it's never perfect. There's always something that you can work on. There's always a problem. And the nice thing about being in a community is, like, the problem that you're facing, someone else probably faced, and they probably found a way around it. Since if they're still alive, they've probably found a way around it. You can learn from that, figure out what part of it applies to you and what doesn't, and then be able to just, like, be that much better, that iteration, that second time of going through it, because someone else went through the problem already, right? You can learn from that. So I think this is where what we're really trying to build is just this, we have 200 plus members now, just kind of get everyone together more often, being able to do deals together. I just had two students actually on, they're negotiating a deal to do together down in Texas, and they both live in Dallas. They didn't know that. And then they're like, oh, well, we met through the program and we both have success. Let's see if there's a deal to do there. So it's always these things that, when you're in the same room of like-minded people, you start building those connections. And it's too bad you're not in Miami. I'm going to be in Miami in a few weeks for a conference. If you happen to be in Miami there, I'd love to see you and get a coffee and be able to meet in person.
No, that would be amazing. And obviously, if you need a place to stay, you can give us a call.
Appreciate
It'd be
that.
a pleasure to host you.
I'm doing the investment banking flight, so I'm going down there at like 5:30. I'm leaving here at 5:30. I get there at 8. I do the conference. I leave at 9. I get back home by midnight. So next time. That's the with kids, you just always want to be home. So maybe we'll bring the kids down. Well, you have your family friendly unit, so we'll bring the kids down next time. Brickell's such a nice area to be in Miami, anyways. And
no, that's amazing.
As we wrap up this episode, I always kind of ask this traditional closing question. We touched on it on the relationship side, but this is a team sport. It's hard to build businesses and have them thrive. There's always someone there that's going to help us along the way. Is there someone along the journey that has, you look to that was just really kind with you, didn't expect anything in return, and has been a big influence in your business? Like, what's the kindest thing that someone's done for you along this journey?
I think it comes down to I've heard your podcast, and I knew this question was coming up, so I was thinking and reflecting a little bit, and it's tough to pinpoint just one, because there's been so many along the way across the different ventures that we've gone on. I think obviously the first where you got started was just a coffee chat with this Airbnb host that we had met 2 years ago, and she took us in. She told us about the business, her numbers, without really expecting us to do much. We just told her, hey, we want to do this. We've looked at these cities. We want to look into Miami. We knew you hosted. It was really kind that we did that. It worked out in the end for her as well, because she brokered the deals of the units that we got. So we're launching property management in Miami now as well, under her brand Bandera, and she's been referring some clients to us as well. So like you said earlier, just the relationships have really paid off. And then the second person was our first cleaner. So meeting her and seeing what she has built, because she has now built a business entirely focused on providing Airbnb hosts with cleaning and the maintenance side of things. And really, like, her motto is, I want you guys to be super hosts, and I'll work for that. Those two people have been crucial to our beginning of our journey.
Amazing. Well, shout out to them. It's great to see how that one conversation has led to, now partnering with this person even more and building a property management business in Miami. And folks, if you're listening, if you're a real estate investor in Miami or in Madrid or Colombia, definitely reach out to Jaime and his team there. I'm sure some good work that you can kind of do together. Jaime, what's the best way for people to reach out to you?
You can connect with me via LinkedIn, just Jaime Cabal, or if it's easier, probably email, because I know my last name is hard to catch. It's Jaime, spelled like Jamie, at xcapitalp.com.
Okay.
So that would be it. That's the best way.
Okay, perfect. Well, what I'll do is we'll link your LinkedIn to the show notes, and folks, connect with Jamie on LinkedIn and get this conversation started. Jamie, thanks so much for taking time to come on the show today.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it.
If you found this episode valuable, please make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can get notified when I put out new content on Airbnb investing. And if you want to learn about how to work with me more directly, I have links below on my description. Click on those and let's figure out how I can help you with your Airbnb investing journey.